Hang on. Hello. That was a flawless start, wasn't it? You saw my little face pop up there at the beginning. Some of you might have, because I had it on the wrong thing. I haven't been in the office for a long time, so I'm just getting back to grips with my technology. So welcome to Real Magic Review. Hello, everybody. It's really nice to be back. I've been away and on my laptop and stuff, and kind of things not working properly. So hope this goes well. Let me know if there's any audio problems. Let me know if you can't hear things. And hello, Stuart Mahir. I hope I've said that. Guyon 111. I hope I've said that correctly. I think about my hair, I just said, I hope I said that. I know I said it. I didn't know whether I said it correctly. Magic Corner, how you doing? Right, before I carry on, can you please like? Can you subscribe? Can you check out cardmagiccourse.com? Have a look at it. I'm very pleased with it, and exciting things are happening. From September, I'll be putting more footage on it every month. And even if you just get the silver membership, which I think is fine for most people, if you don't want to do the Zoom stuff, you still get all the uploads and you still get all the Zoom sessions uploaded. So that's a lot, isn't it? That's nearly 4 hours stuff a month. Exciting, and lots of exciting things coming up, developmental things. Right, so I'm a little bit, I've been deep in kind of rehearsal mode, which I find really difficult. I find it like pulling teeth. Rehearsing a solo show I find just utterly mind-numbingly tedious. So I'm so glad to be here, just even though you can't talk back at me, just that you're commenting. I'm connecting. It's all about connection. I want to be a magician. Anybody can be a magician, mate. You just got to get into it. Get into it, practice. Don't buy loads of stuff, buy a couple of things, get going with it. And there's loads of great inspiration now online, which there wasn't when I got into it, even though I did get some great inspiration. Maybe too much inspiration, that's probably the problem. Sean Keys, hi, Paul Moody, hi, looking forward to your thoughts on this, yeah. So if you haven't seen my review, after this, don't watch it now. Go there. I'm just going to turn my emails off because it's going to ping at me, and I always forget to do that. Have a look at my review. It's been really, really interesting. And there were lots of comments that would go through here. There were some comments on the Magicians Forum, I put the link to the review on there, and I can't get into my own link for some reason. I couldn't log in. I think it's either been moved topic or I put it in the wrong topic. I don't know. But the main thoughts are the same as are on here, really, is that it's very, very divisive. This has really divided people, and which makes it interesting. I'm not saying that's a good thing, because the people that are divided that aren't happy are not happy, and that's never a good thing. But I do have some thoughts on it. My thoughts, like anybody's opinion, cannot really be argued with, because it's just my thoughts, because they're not necessarily right. I'm not saying they can't be argued with because they're my thoughts. What I'm saying is they're just thoughts. So you can't. So don't worry if you disagree with them. That's totally cool. I'm not trying to tell you what I think is truth. I'm trying to tell you what I think, and that's why I think it's. Some people are getting quite sort of angry about it, and I think, look, get angry if you feel that you've been slighted, but don't get angry about someone's opinion if it's just their opinion. So let's look at. We'll come back to the thing in a minute. My thoughts are this. All right, I am playing devil's advocate here. I would like to say, and I know I do bang on about it, there is zero affiliation between me and the creators and promoters. My watch is apologising to me again. That just tells me that I gesticulate too much, because my watch thinks that it needs to help me out. So, yeah, no affiliation at all. This is completely independent. All right. Yes, I think Vanishing Inc are great, but I also think Murphy's Magic are great, and I also think Prop Dog are great, and it's great. I saw this as not knowing anything about the product, and absolutely loved it. Right, and when I look at a trick, and I know some people are going to be thinking, well, you get loads of free stuff, so it's different. And I'm very good at pretending I've bought something, and I do buy a lot of stuff. Right, I buy a lot of books. I don't get all my stuff free. I do get a lot, but actually the stuff that I use in my show, a lot of it I bought. So I'm seeing this from that point of view. The big problem is the trailer, and the fact that you didn't really know what you were getting. Now, I said in the review, and I think it has been said on the publicity, you are getting a gimmick and a sleight. I saw it and thought, I want to do that trick. I didn't think I want to do that trick if it involves using this, using that. That's what I'm buying when I buy a trick. I go, right, I want to do that trick. I don't really care how it's done. I just want to do that trick. And then the price point comes out, and then I decide whether it is worth my money. Do I want to do that trick that much? Is it worth my money? That's what I think. Now, when I get that trick home, yes, of course, when you get something, and there's been times I've got something gone, is that it? And that used to be, by the way, how it was all the time. And I'm not saying it should be out in the good old days, but You often would buy a trick, see it done, get it home and go, is that it? Have I just paid for that? And you forget that you're paying for the trick. You're paying to be able to do that. So there's that. Now, some people have said the use of the word gimmick is misleading. Is it? I don't know. It is a gimmick. That's what it is. I mean, you know, there are plenty of things called gimmicks that are very similar, that may be different shaped in that. And some people are saying they should have been more honest about what it was. But I don't think that most people don't do that. They don't do exactly what you're going to get. Some people do, and that's fine. But I respect that choice. And again, only because maybe I'm just used to it. I'm used to that. Always used to be the way it was. Like a trick, that's how much it is. You know, a difficulty level is good. How difficult is it? And you know, I've said that this is a sleight that's going to take practice. So there's that. My opinion is that if I had bought it and spent the money on it and I could do that trick, I'm fine with that. And actually, I would rather spend money on a sleight than a gimmick. And I'll tell you why. And I know people are going to say, yeah, but we thought it was this. No, I'll just tell you why. I think when you're buying anything in the world, anything, what you're buying mostly is time and effort. That's it. That's what you're paying money for, regardless of what it is. And sometimes not. So you buy an album, the CD it's printed on is worth nothing, all right? The time and effort to make the music, and that's what you're buying, and you're listening to it. If you buy a painting, the thing it's painted on, all that. And I know that's the metaphor isn't going to work for a lot of situations, but that is kind of the way I think. I kind of go, right, I'm buying the time and effort it takes to do that. Now, in my opinion, it takes way more time to sit and develop a really good sleight, especially these days. It's different because, you know, there is so much out there. So to bring something new that you can burn like this, and we'll look at the trailer in a minute, I think that's probably taken way more time than it would to develop a gimmick that may not last forever, that may be... the gimmick here will last forever that you use, but to actually, some people are saying that the gimmick for actually doing the switch, I would rather a sleight, because that's going to last me forever. The thought that has gone into it is probably gone into it more than the sleight. And you know, even if you buy an expensive gimmick, usually it's made for a very, very low cost. So I'm buying the time it takes to do it. Anything you buy is that. That's kind of what you're paying for. You're paying for someone's time. So I'm happy with that. Let's look at the trailer, all right? And I hope it works. Let me know if you can't hear it, or let me know if you can't hear me. I think I pressed the right button here.
There's one card underneath that glass. Mm-hmm. The first time.
Wow. That is what it looks like, okay? That's an honest part. I've seen it again and again and again and again, and I still can't get my head around it, why it looks that good. The retention is beautiful. Someone said about the retention earlier, it's just beautiful. Now, this is important, I think, and it's something I've thought about. A lot of people have said that work as mentalists on stage, etc., have said you don't need a sleight that looks that good. If you're a performer, you know that you can actually do many switches that will get to a similar thing, that you can misdirect and things like that. And I agree, actually. Elliot Bresler, I think it's on Switchcraft, has some amazing switches that are quite easy, that look amazing. But I think there's something else here that is important that isn't talked about much. I like doing sleights that I like. And if I feel good about doing something and I enjoy it and I get excited about it, there is part of me that thinks, I know that I could have done this and this and this, and I know I could have got a gimmick, and I know I maybe don't have to use a sleight, and I could, you know, I get a one-way false deck, and that would have got to the same thing. But there's something about really enjoying what you're doing, and for me, for this, that moment of doing that would be way more enjoyable than getting a gimmick that did it for me. I'm not saying that's for everybody. This is just me, personally. So again, I think there is something about method. I know people that say the method doesn't matter, but I do. Certain methods just don't appeal to me, and I kind of get bored doing them. But if I marry the two things up, if I like the method and I like the effect, and I can say to them, right, and I can make them burn it if I want to, you know, like so it kind of closes that door. It's like the Tamarutz thing. You're closing a door. You're not saying, look, I'm not going to switch it, but you're just going, don't take your eyes off it, bang. And it's kind of like the bill switch in that way. You know, you can do a bill switch, and the person, I can't remember what it was that I mentioned earlier, did mention a bill switch and say they can do a bill switch that does actually go out of out of their vision. And I agree, it's absolutely fine. I think coins across are better when you can't see the coin. Yes, you can use a flipper coin where you visually see the coin arrive, but I like the fact you close your hands, open it, and it's switched. But it's just my way of looking at it. I think if you enjoy doing it, if you love the switch, if it excites you, if you think it's amazing, that's going to be telegraphed in your performance as well. Well, in my experience.
When I design magic, I aim to combine the strongest effects with the most practical methods. And that's why we're about to show you a full performance.
Right, so this is the
single
thing.
camera shot that will never cut away.
That, I'll have a little drink.
Rich, there are 52 cards in a standard deck of cards, all right? Name red or black out loud.
Red.
All right, so the reds are the hearts and the diamonds. So which do you want, hearts or diamonds?
Diamonds.
Great, so you're down to 13 diamond cards. That's ace through to king. This is the last choice, just think of which value you want.
And I will say, a lot of people will be talking about the process here. We all know what the process is, or most of us. It's one of those ones where it's one level, so you haven't got to. And again, I've got no problem with the process ever since I performed Joshua Quinn's Equivoke or Equivoque at many events down to one card, doing many levels of it, and it almost added to it. So
What do you want?
I think there is something nice about
The
it.
nine of
They're more of
diamonds.
a tool. Yeah,
Really
I
think
know
about this. There's one card underneath that glass. You named red, you named diamonds, you named 9. The first time.
Wow.
Switch one features an invisible gimmick.
Right, so let me know if you want to watch the rest of it. I don't think we have to watch the rest of it. That's the bit that I think people have been interested in. So the big thing is, in the trailer, in the instructions, it goes through the instructions as if you're wearing a jacket. And I put on the comments, didn't I, that you need a jacket for it, and I forgot to mention it in the review. And then Christy said, well, no, you don't. I do it all the time, sitting down and not using a jacket. And actually, that's a really valid point. You can do that. Now, in my professional performances, that's probably not going to happen very often. And for me, I still think getting in and out of that position, it's fine. It's totally fine. I've done loads of stuff like that before, and that's not an issue. But I do think in most cases, I would prefer to do it with a jacket. Now, in that trailer, he does it standing. And a lot of people have said they didn't teach that in the trailer, and I think that's a really valid point. For me, I'm not sure. I mean, they did mention it in the PDF, but I think, yes, maybe they should have made a bit more out of it, and about blocking and where you're going to do things, and especially if you haven't done a lot of this stuff. But my feeling is that if you were to move the position of the gimmick and not have a jacket, it would become fairly clear what you have to do. The mechanics are kind of the same thing, and in a way, it's easier. Now, what it isn't is practical. I wouldn't be walking around not in a jacket with it in position in that situation unless I had a very long shirt and etc. It doesn't. For me, you would do that in a certain position. You would do that in that situation. Absolutely fine. But yeah, there is an argument to say it's an impractical way to do it. I think it's going to be way easier if you've got a jacket on. You just don't have to think about it. But if you're in an informal situation with friends and you're not at a gig, I think fine. And that's, again, how Christian says he does it. And I believe him. I think he's an honest person. So there's that. Let me just check if there's anything else. Would a gimmick be more valuable? Someone said in one of the comments. And I think, again, it's, for me, not necessarily. Less a lot of the time. I'd rather pay a bit more for something that is teaching me, because that's what I'm into, and again, than less for a gimmick that's really, really clever, but isn't that I need on me to do the trick. And don't get me wrong, you do need stuff on you to do the trick, but you can use that sleight in very many different situations. I thought it was interesting. And this is only again, it's not going to be for everybody, this opinion. But some people said it should have been a download, all right, a $20 download, $30, whatever. I think, and it's the same as this idea of if you buy a bit of I spent 20 quid on Michael Murray's book, The Solution, and it's, 3 pages of instruction, really. There's some stuff either side of it, and there's some stuff on the website, which is great. But I wanted those little hints and tips on performing it from someone who's done it, who thinks about it, and there were 3 or 4 things that I really got from this. I gathered how to do it, and I paid $20 or £20 for it. Totally fine, and that's only for that little bit. So again, I think that if you pay invest in something like this, you've got way more chance of doing it. If it had been a cheaper download and it would have gone with all your other downloads that most of us don't get a chance to watch, I think if you get this, again, I'm not saying that's why you would do it. It's still a lot of money. It's £75 or £72 or $75. But I'm not saying you would spend that money just to give you more chance of doing it. But I bet you if you spend the money, you're going to put more effort into it than you would have just one to add to your download list. And, you know I am playing devil's advocate. It looks like I'm bigging it up, but these are my genuine thoughts. I can understand that why they've done this thing of making this almost like they do with mentalism a lot. You know, you buy a booklet for £100, it gives you free tricks, and sometimes they're no good. I think that they've done a thing with this where they've gone, right, we're going to make it expensive because we don't want it to be a download that everybody's just got. We want there's a bit of exclusivity to this. It is a bit of a special Switch, isn't it? You've got to say, it's not like, I don't think it's like most. It's something that really, really is good, and I kind of am okay with it. But I really understand and empathise with people that aren't, with people that have bought it thinking they're getting one thing and not getting it. I think that if you read the Q&A, someone said on the Vanishing Inc site, you get quite a lot of information now, but I'm kind of okay with it. So let's see what you're saying in a minute on there. I'll go with the comments on. I know it's going to be quite a long show because there's quite a lot of comments to cover here. So I am going to look at what you're saying now in a minute. The beauty of buying great effects is that you do learn handling and knacks that can serve you throughout your entire career. I always look for the lesson behind the gimmick. That's often well worth the price of the trick when it's from a reputable source like Christian Grace. Thank you, Sharpo. And yep. Great review, Steve. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. That's just me bigging myself up. I just ordered mine a couple of miles ago. Looks clever and practical. I'll be using this. Just realised it can be combined with David's bottle from Prop Dog. Yeah, that looks great as well. And David Regal's stuff great, and apparently so. And that's from Eamon Duhan. Derek Dean. Switch is beautiful. The thinking behind it's great. Teaching is well done. And for me, that's worth the price. But I was disappointed that we weren't actually taught the routine showed in the preview, because that was what sold me on it. It wouldn't have bothered me so much, except that in the preview, Christian kept saying it's exactly how it would look each time. Yeah, so I do think they should. I mean, I think you'll when you play with it, but I think maybe if you're going to do that in the preview, teach that. Never once showed us that exact routine, so you felt let down. Yeah, I can totally understand that. You can't emphasise this enough. I do feel that learning that unbelievably cool Switch was worth the price of admission, because it really can be adapted to many other uses. And his teaching of that series' moves is very thorough. Yeah, and think, I mean, you know, I've spent a lot of money on books, and if I buy a book and I get one thing in it that stays in my repertoire for that point onwards, I think the book's worth it, even if it was a £100 book. So, you know, we don't actually add that much. So if you're going to use it and add it, I think it's worth the money. Did you mention you'll be covering this in your next live session? Yeah. So, oops, sorry, that's my daughter. Yeah, it's funny. David said he bought It's a Cup, just a cup from me, and he just loves doing it. Makes me look like a pro. Can't get enough of it, etc. Oh, can't wait to get Switch One. I'm glad you're using that, because I love just a cup as well. Does this work similarly to David's Switch? Yeah. So Brian Armstrong has said, can you do a sign selection, etc.? And he's answered his own question as he just purchased. Yes, it will work with a sign card, although it's 100% sleight of hand. I look forward to performing this and comparing reactions to Clarity Box and In the Clear. Both are excellent switching products. This is true. This is a true thought of card, which I think is going to make the difference. I should just put my glasses on tonight, but I'm not. In the level of astonishment. And thought of is really what you are buying. The actual change reminds me of the Wii Flex Lance Pierce or folded Mexican at turnover, but doesn't feel too difficult in my first hour of messing around with it. That's great, Brian. Thank you. And really, really good points. Clarity Box is going to be way easier, I still think. I think that something like that is more of a gimmick that does it for you. So I think, again, this is going to take practice, and it's not going to be for everybody. Which is harder to do, level 1 or this? I think level 1 is harder. I really, really do. I know some people saying some lovely stuff. Thank you. This is from Magic Man. This is a trick for magicians. Yes, the Switch looks clean, but it's quite expensive, and spectators won't be able to tell the difference between this and a normal shuttle pass. Pocket indexes are as old as the hills too, and you can make your own for less money. Yeah, I mean, it's a valid point. I use shuttle pass all the time. I think there's a joy in sort of going, that you've just given me that. Yeah, but it's a very, very, gimmick has nothing to do with the Switch. I find the ad very misleading. Vanishing Inc answered, we understand that this might not be the product for you and it's totally okay, but we've heard this same comment from a few individuals and feel that it's important to remind everybody about the distinction between effect and method. Christian floored us with this truly mind-blowing card under glass routine when we first saw it. In fact, it baffled many of the best minds in Magic. With Switch 1, we were introducing the Magic community to this effect, which can only be accomplished when the two methods, the Switch and the index, are combined. The fact each individual method can be used to achieve other feats of Magic is just an awesome bonus. So you are correct in the fact that the gimmick and Switch can operate independently, but to achieve the core effect, they must work in harmony. The sum of the parts is greater than the whole, and that's why we've decided to release it as a package. I've only just seen this. That being said, we've updated the ad copy even more to be more descriptive based on the feedback we've received. Great. Additionally, we encourage everyone who owns the product to join the exclusive Switch 1 Facebook group. Christian has been working hard to alleviate a lot of the concerns that people have had about the product. He has an extensive Q&A and many other videos posted already. If anybody has any questions and dissatisfied, we encourage you to reach out. Vanishing, wizards at vanishingmagic.com. Yeah, so that's good, isn't it? Right, so fair enough. And I genuinely haven't read that. It's interesting because I've been deep in other stuff. So a lot of these I've read most of them, but I hadn't seen that one. It's because it was a reply. Use it for a borrowed bill. Yeah, he does talk about switches, so you could switch it for a different one, hand it back. Many bad reviews from Penguin Magic. I haven't read them. To clarify, you receive everything you need to perform this effect except a deck of cards. Yeah, however you want to switch. Also, assume you can use any deck of cards you want. Yes, so I did mention this, and because I did it with normal, I set it up with normal cards, fine. And Christian mentioned that with double deckers it would be great because obviously they're a lot thinner, but you don't need them. But I think again, if you're going to use the back pocket, I think you are going to be, you want to use double deckers maybe, which are the card shark ones. A lot of people can this be performed for t-shirt on if it's a long, if you depending on where you're doing it. I think live at a gig, no, I wouldn't be happy with that. On stage, maybe. Can the gimmick break easily? The thing you get isn't going to break easily. It's going to last forever, in my opinion. Don't get in touch in 3 years' time and say you broke it. How's the pocket space with the gimmick? Takes up the whole pocket. Whatever pocket you're going to use, it's going to take up the whole thing. It's durable. To the actual product, the gimmick and an index and Switch is a sleight. Yeah, right. So there you go. Let's have a look at what you got. So thanks for staying with me. I know it's a long one, but I think it's important. And make sure you get your questions in here now. Oh, loads of them. I'm going to put my glasses on. You'll just see big reflections. There you go. Gotta embrace it, Stephen. Gotta embrace it. Let's have a look. I think the Switch could have been a cheaper download without the index, and people would be happier. Yeah, I think so, and I think they probably know that. And I think it's a choice of kind of going, you know, when you're releasing something, maybe it's about kind of making it a bit more exclusive. I get it. I totally get it. They're Scottish Highlands. Hi, Gary. How you doing? This is my first review to see if this. Yeah, Cliff. I've done the actual review as a separate thing, so have a look at that as well. Afternoon, Chris. I'm with you. Gimmicks versus sleights is straight, but way overpriced and misleading advertising. I do really like it though, and I'm enjoying learning it. Good. I'm glad you are, Richard. And I think there's there's a joy to that, as I've said as well. So I think if you enjoy learning it, if you use it, and you know it's a solid routine, isn't it? Brian J, my problem with the sleight is you're not left clean. Yeah. So I've never, and this again, it's only opinion. I'm totally not saying you should feel the same. I've never had a problem with being left clean. Because when they're responding to that thing, I've just thought you can get away with murder. I mean, I just chuck stuff in pockets when they're responding. I'm not saying if you're doing a parlour show or something like that, but in most close-up situations, when they're getting that strong effect, even though you might not be clean in a couple of seconds, you can be. And I know it's definitely a weakness of the trick. Every trick has a weakness. That's a weakness, and there isn't a trick that hasn't got one. But I think it's a bit like level 1. You're not sorry, I've got this sciatic thing happening, and it's just going to kick in a minute, I think. Invisible gimmick implies it's in play for Magic Man to help the actual switch. It's a redundant statement. If it stays in your pocket, of course it's invisible. Yeah, I presume that's what they meant when they said invisible gimmick. It's in play to help the... Yeah, I suppose it... I didn't really think about that. And you've got a point, but I kind of... yeah, I kind of thought... Whenever I kind of read that as not being in a situation where it would be seen. But yeah, absolutely. Now I think about it, you totally could be taken like that. Switch should have been separate for those who've already had the index. A lot of people feel this way. I spent $100 with the cost and expedited shipping. It was a complete waste of money. Felt majority deceived. I'll be interested to see how many people are actually happy with it. I don't know because there's no way of really knowing. But it seems that on the Magician's Forum I was looking, it seems really pretty much half and half. It seemed a little bit. It's the new switch that Christian actually came up with. Yes, apparently so. Yeah. But some things need to be forewarned. You need to wear a jacket. Well, yeah, I mean, I still think the jacket's better. But you can do, I mean, I suppose it's like card to wallet, isn't it? I mean, you can do card to wallet. You want a jacket, really, but you can do it in your back pocket. You've just got to be a lot more careful with angles and things like that. And it has to be a very specific situation. And I'm repeating myself. Would you reduce the amount of cards you have to pick from? No, I think it's fine. I'm happy with that. Honest review, I now see why it's already for sale on second-hand Magic. Yeah, I mean, there are going to be a lot of people. I think what's happened is a lot of people think you're getting a gimmick here that is going to mean you're not going to have to do any sleight of hand. And I think that's the difference. Paul Moody, I love the switch. I think the gimmick will take a while to get used to. I have another index that I have a great working relationship with, so I'm intrigued to learn a new one. Yeah. I don't know much, hands up, I'm not a big index person. I don't know loads about indexes. I thought it went great, but I'm sure there's loads. I know I've got Luci's one, which is a smaller one. That's lovely. But again, very different. Richard, Live One with Genius. This is still a little less genius, but still great. Difficult second album, maybe. I felt deceived from Randy because the highlights I saw on Instagram only showed the switch without the ditch. The gimmick has nothing to do with the switch. It has nothing to do with the sleight. No, it doesn't. You're right. But the routine, as Vanishing Inc has said, is what they were selling. And I know you'll say, well, that's what I saw. I only saw the switch on. Big selling point of that routine is that switch, isn't it? Let's be honest. And you are paying a lot for that switch. But most wallets are really expensive, whatever you use them for. So again, can you inform it yet? No, absolutely not. Because I learnt it on that day. I sort of got a feel of how it's going to do. I played with it, rehearsed it, and now I'm back to rehearsing my show, and I'm not doing it in my show because it doesn't fit in my show at all. So after September 2nd, I'll have a life again because I really haven't at the moment. It's just, life is very surreal at the moment. I get up and run through my script and still can't remember it, so it's going to be interesting. Great effect, but definitely lots of practice by Anthony Christmas. Absolutely. So I really understand how people feel. I still think genuinely, I'm really trying to be genuine here. And again, there's no reason for me not to. I don't get any bad vibes from Vanishing Inc if I don't like one of their things. The couple of things I've said, yeah, it's not. And they're fine. They can do very well without me. So genuinely, I think if I'd have seen that routine, bought it, got it home, I'd have been fine with it. Because I'm a move monkey. And as long as I could do it, I think I'd have been all right. I love the routine. I really like it. And I like that process. And I like... but some people aren't going to be, and that's absolutely, completely fine. So, hope the gig goes well brilliantly. Thank you, Chris. Right, so any last things? If not, I will leave. I don't think I've forgotten. Have a look at cardmagiccourse.com. Whoops. Let me just check that I haven't forgotten anything to say. No, the only thing I've put is I've come back from a night out before, way more depressed at how much money I've spent than I would have if I spent that. So if you're feeling bad about it, think when was the last time you went out and had a few drinks and just did not do one of them. And but you know what I mean? It is, it's a lot of money for a lot of us. I haven't got much money at the moment at all, so I totally get it. But they've said to reach out, so that's cool. Right, thanks very much, everyone. Thanks for coming, and Any questions, do let me know. Remember to comment below and watch the rest of the reviews. They're a bit slower at the moment because stuff's going on, but it'll be picking right up again in September. Thanks very much. Take care. See you later. Bye.
There's one card underneath.